Oh boy. So it must have been about 1992. No, it can't be 92. 94.
Was the Columbus dollar out?
I know the people are out. It was the first year of high school, and we were in Long Island still. My parents had just recently separated, and there was a lot of change. It was a new beginning for a lot of reasons. And I had moved from a school where my mother was a teacher to NGM major, which is still, in my consideration, one of the best schools in the country. And I started off with a few friends from Mangrove Bush Primary and making some other very good friends. It was, I think, my best year of high school. I was by far the most popular student in our grade 7 class. I was the quintessential jock, I guess. We spent all of our lunch periods playing basketball and getting up to nonsense, going to people's yard, teething juju, and doing all that stuff. But there was this young, little skinny little girl from a few houses down from where I lived, who I never noticed before, but I noticed her in grade 7. And I can't describe exactly what it was about her that I first noticed. I don't know if it was that she was different, that she was strange. Just to me, she was that girl that I had to know. And back then it wasn't the thing to talk about. You're 12, 13 years old, you can talk with girls. You're hanging out with your boys, you all, play fighting and playing basketball, shooting marbles, doing all that kind of stuff. You ain't worried with that, but you wanted to. Plus this was Long Island. We have a favorite pastime. I'll leave that there. But I know I was very, very scared to talk to her. And I had to plan, like my speaker before me, of how I would try to position myself to get notice. Turns out I didn't need to do that, being the popular guy and literally I had, at that point, about 4 or 5 classmates who were all vying to be my best friend. It was embarrassing. But messages would be sent that this girl was over there and she was available or interested or whatever. But I never could build up the nerve to go and talk to her. It was lucky for me that she went to the same church, and when you were brought up by your grandparents and a single mother, church was a very, very important thing in your family. So naturally I became an altar boy and almost burned down the church one time. But anyway, I would plan on what I would do, how I would see her at church, what I would do, where I would try to position myself just to sit close or to be within eye shot. And it was, in the beginning, a love from afar. And I would just fantasize over what it would be like to hold her hand, what it would be like to talk to her and, God forbid, even kiss her. So I worked on this for that entire semester. And we got up until it was the last day of school. And I remember clear as day, we were playing a basketball game. And the school was very, very far from where I lived, but I would walk home because it gave me an opportunity to sometimes walk with my friends and we would talk and we would socialize. But also it gave me the added benefit of being around late to watch her before she left school. And I was on the basketball court with her. And I remember I was bouncing the basketball and she came out of the blue and decided to be alone with me. Needless to say, my legs were jelly. And felt like I wanted to pee. I was trying to figure out if someone was punking me. I didn't know what was going on. I was very, very scared, very, very nervous. And for the first time, she opened up and told me about who she was, what she was going through. She had the same experiences with a family that had gone through a separation. And I immediately remembered this sense of dread because I knew the conversation was not going somewhere that I would like. It turns out her mother, who was in New Providence at the time, had gotten this job, and to cut a long story short, she had been sent for to come to New Providence. And I remember I was just bouncing the ball and I just kept looking down because I couldn't look up. And she was saying how she would have to leave. And I just thought to myself how stupid I was, this whole year, instead of actually having time spent with her, I would be sitting with my friends and I'd be doing the whole macho thing, like fighting or trying to show off on the basketball court so I can get her attention. And clearly I obviously had her attention, but never obviously did anything with that. And I just remember her saying she has to leave. And I thought, well, what does this mean for me? What do I do from here? How do you move on? And it felt like it wasn't real. I went home and I'm very close with my brother, and we were able to talk about other matters. I didn't bring this up with him because he was like 3 years older than me, and obviously he was doing his own thing. And he had some very good friends who they were doing nonsense with. So I tried to put it in the back of my head. But the next morning, I had the misfortune of living in a spot in Long Island where the planes from Bahamas had to fly over our home whenever it went to the airport. And whenever they took off, they had to fly, obviously, back over to go to Nassau. And I was home that day when Bahamas Air came. And I knew she was on that flight. And I remember we had a 3-bedroom home. And my little sister had her own room. And my brother and I shared a room, called it the blue room, because the walls were painted with blue paint. And I remember I was there, standing up by the window when our plane took off. And I just broke down, crying. Openly weeping. And to this day, she doesn't know that story. To this day, I don't think she believes, or she wouldn't know how much I cared for her. But that was my first introduction to heartache. Thank you.